First things first, guys. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I'm alright, thank you. What I want to start with is with you, Paul, because you made music by yourself before playing with these guys. When did the thought occur to start playing with other people?
I actually always wanted to be in a band with my best friends, but I don't know. Actually, I feel like some of my friends, like my best friends weren't musicians, so, and I never felt good enough to like ask the musicians that I knew to be in the band with me. I don't know. But I moved to Los Angeles, and it sounds kind of silly, but I went into a place asking for an internship to like sell clothes, to be honest with you. Like I was gonna like maybe try to work for this brand, and then they asked me to model for their website instead, and so I tried it out, and then I kind of just pretty much got picked up off the street to do that. And I had been writing music and releasing music for years, and nobody ever cared, and so I thought maybe I should just take a sign from the universe and give up music. But I had just kind of one last effort in me, and I called these guys. I was like, is there any way I can come down and see what happens, fly back to Nashville and see what we come up with? And that's when LANY happened.
Before you left for LA, how much of each other did you see? Did you know everybody was playing music? And
Yeah, I knew Jake is amazing. He's probably like one of the greatest drummers in the world, and he played a lot in Nashville with a lot of people and did like a lot of session work. And I met Jake under the premise of knowing that he was like a badass at the drums. And so I knew that, but I didn't really know about Les. Les, I always say, is like the best kept secret of Nashville. He worked at a Belmont post office, which is like Belmont University, which is where we all went to school at some point, and is just this amazing engineer and producer and mix engineer. And so when I left Nashville, I kind of met these two at the end of my time.
okay.
I was like 2 months later I would leave Nashville. But I don't know, like when I left, these dudes started a thing called Worlds, which is a duo of them, and they started making songs on Les's computer, and then I wanted to be a part of it.
So what was that kind of reconnection like? How did you call them?
Yeah, I think Jake and I like kept in touch quite a bit when I left, and he would call, and Jake's super good at that actually, like really good on the phone, and would just call him like, what's up, talk to me, what's going on. In fact, I had even been given this opportunity to like bypass the auditions for The Voice, which is an American like singing contest, and I never wanted to be on The Voice, but when you're a musician and you're struggling and then somebody's like, we're going to put you on national TV, you don't even have to audition, that's one of those opportunities that you don't ever want to have, because turning it down is one of the hardest things in the world. You're like, I don't want to do this at all, but at the same time, like, nothing else is working out for me. I remember calling Jake so many times, being like, dude, what do I do? Like, I don't know. And he's like, dude, if you're not 100% about it, don't do it. Because that's one of those things that, like, if you do it, you got to be so, like, and he was right. So I didn't do it. And just a few months, maybe just a month later, I called, and I'll never forget, I was standing in the kitchen of my apartment in Hollywood and was so reluctant. But I was like, can I please come to Nashville and just try to make a couple songs with you and Les? I'm basically asking to be like the lead singer in their band.
If he said no, would you have done The Voice?
If he said no, I didn't want to. I didn't want to at all. But it's one of those things that like you just don't ever want to be given that opportunity, because it just sucks to like turn it down. Because then for the rest of your life, if nothing ever works out, you're like, what if I had just gone on The Voice? You know, but. It was just one of those things, like my mom loves those shows, of course. So my mom's like, yes, Paul, you're going to be, and I'm like, no, Mom, I'm calling you to hear you tell me no. But yeah, so no, I wouldn't have done it.
And for you then, Jake, and Les as well, because like I said, you were starting Worlds, and all of a sudden you get a call from him. What was your reaction?
Oh, it was a no-brainer for me. I was like, yeah, it'd be amazing, because we had always I knew like friends he had worked with when he was doing a solo project, and then we just became buds, and I was just like a fan of him. And then Les, when we lived together, and he would show me all these beats, and I was like, "Who are you?" And then we started our little duo. And then when Paul called, we were like, "Dude," because Paul would come, we would see him like here and there. So we always loved hanging with him. We were like, "Well, if he comes to Nashville, that'd be fun. We just see what happens." So we didn't really have any expectation like what we were gonna do. We were just like, let's just show up and make something together.
Yeah, it wasn't even really like I was just kind of like, can you guys still be worlds? But then maybe if we come up with something cool, we can be like like a trio of another name.
Sure.
You know, people have like 20 side projects nowadays. So I was like, there was no pressure really. It was just like, I'm just gonna get on a plane. I have 4 days with you guys. Let's just see what we come up with.
So what was that first rehearsal like?
Well, no rehearsal, but it was basically just Les has his computer situated in the front room of the house that they lived in, and the first song that we wrote was Hot Lights, and that was awesome. Then the second song was Walk Away, and it started out where Jake had a session that day, so he was gone in the studio working on something else. And it was just me and Les at the house, and then Les had to go get his car fixed or something, right? Or you had something. Yeah. But I had come up with this chorus. Les did not like it at the beginning, and I was like devastated because I thought Hot Lights I thought we were maybe onto something, and he's like, dude, I honestly just hate where this is going, and I'm like, oh, okay, like
I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, he wasn't feeling it. I was like, okay, dude, I get it. I was so discouraged. Then we went to a show. Our friend Johnny Stimson was playing at the basement in Nashville. Went to the show, like whatever. Came back. I showed Jake the chorus idea. He's like, no, I think this could be cool. And then he added like the sickest, most simple drum beat to it, and it opened up the whole thing. Yeah.
And then was it in that moment or those days where you started, where the band kind of found its sound and found its direction?
Definitely. I mean, I think it was like Walk Away that we listened to the most during those 4 days. We like laid it down, and then that night we just sat in the dark and just listened to it like 10 times on repeat, and we're like, what did we just make? This is so sick.
And one thing I love is that I like talking about, because we never like did any rehearsals. We never played together in our lives, because bands like grow up playing together when they're kids, and then finally years later they're like, all right, let's give this thing a go. We just showed up one day, and that's when Hot Lights and Walk Away happened. It was just like, ready to go. What groove or what piano part are you going to play? We have no idea. We just kind of learned what each other's instincts are. It was really fun.
But this is interesting because, like you said, there wasn't very much pressure at the point. But what was the ambition then?
I think like I just wanted to come in and I was devastated when Walk Away wasn't working out. I really was. I guess during that first day of Hot Lights, I started to get my hopes up. I was like, wait, we're kind of onto something. And then, so that ambition was there. I mean, I really wanted it to work out, but at the same time, I wasn't like, this is make or break, this is do or die, this is if it doesn't work in these 4 days, then Paul, your career as a musician is over.
I think though, like what was really driving, like what we wanted to do though, was like, I remember you talking about the music that was on my computer, like just making something cool.
Yeah.
Like we just wanted to create something that was cool, that we felt
definitely
all three felt like it was cool.
At that time, we were just listening to so much
and that's when Hype Machine and Indie Shuffle were like huge, and blogs and all that stuff.
I remember Les, he was like, I would go over and just think he was like the coolest guy ever. First of all, he's OCD, which I appreciate so much because it's like organized to the T. And like his iTunes library looked so sick. I was like, my God, this is beautiful. This is a work of art. And like he doesn't do his iTunes library as in like songs. He has them as like records, and they're like all album art, and it looked so nice and aesthetically pleasing. I was like, who are these bands? Like, just show me. And so we started listening to like bands like Shy Girls. Remember Shy Girls? Shy Girls and like Jungle and who else? I don't know. We were listening to Panama, Small Black, like these bands, and we were just like, I just want to make something cool. And I also remember because I had worked with producers before, I lost a lot of creative control. So there'd be times where I'd be like, can we just do that? And like, no, trust me, I know what I'm doing. Like, you can't just do that. You can't leave that much space. You know, we've got to. And I remember thinking about how much space there was in our stuff, and like walk away and everything just had breath and could breathe and had room to like exist, and it was really amazing. That's my favorite thing about working with the three of us is that nobody's really filtering any ideas or instincts. Like most of the time, if I'm give him an idea, he's like, yeah. You know, most of the time it's like no questions asked. Whereas if I was working with the producer, they'd be like, no. And then they would make me feel inferior because like obviously they're more skilled or they're more knowledgeable or they know how to turn the knobs, and I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe you're right. My idea is bad.
So is this a question of kind of being in the same headspace and knowing what you want and having the same tastes, or is it?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, because I don't think we have the same taste.
No.
Definitely not. But we're all like just pretty much yes men in the sense.
Yeah, I was
of
really
like,
big on like instincts.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
if that's like the first thing we came up with, I was like, it's probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the time when we try to go back and retake something, which is my fault, I'll always be like, let me just try to do this better. I never is better, as most of the time it's like that first take.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. That's
Or if he accidentally recorded something and he's like, "Oh guys, I'm so sorry." We're like, "No, we'll keep that. That'll be like the main part of the song."
That was a mistake, but
We just explore it.
Yeah.
So that honesty is very important to have that.
Yeah.